Govardhan Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jai Giri Govardhan. Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya. Jai Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Gaura Hari. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Gaura Hari. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Stotara Sata Shushiman Sura A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sura Prabhupada Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vranda Ki Namacharya Sura Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Shama Kunda Radha Gairi Govardhan Ki Vrindavanam Ki Nilamadavadam Ki Jai Nilamadava Sunday Love Feast Ki Jai. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Glory all assembled devotees. Glory all Sishi Guru and Goranga. Or the Premanandi.
Everyone, please come in the forward area as far as you possibly can. Please come forward. And if you have noisy children, please do something about your children. Haribol, please help me give a warm welcome back to His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu. Mukunda Datta Prabhu has been a staple in Houston for many years, but Prabhuji is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He joined ISKCON about 40 years ago and deeply impressed by the comprehensive, authentic, and nectarian presentation of the science of Bhakti Yoga, which is love of God, as clearly explained in the many books by Srila Prabhupada. So Mukunda Datta Prabhu grew up in Southern California. He was spiritually inclined from a very early age, and I won't give up his age, becoming vegetarian and practicing yoga at merely 10 years old. At 13, Prabhu started a private school program. He began learning Sanskrit and came across Bhagavad Gita as it is. He had already read several editions of Bhagavad Gita, but when he opened Srila Prabhupada's books, he basically said the lights came on. So he's noted for his melodious kirtans. He has received formal training in North Indian classical music, sings and plays almost every instrument that you can possibly think of. traditional Bengali style kirtan, has made several recordings of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, Sanskrit and vernacular hymns. Prabhuji currently serves as a Sanskrit English translator and editor for the BBT.
Hare Krishna.
Please, once again, let me welcome Mukunda Datta Prabhu.
Yeah. Good.
I couldn't resist,
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandan Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vajragacharya Ashto Saraswata Shri Srimad Srila Vaishnava Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नाम आचार्य शिल ठाकुर हरिदास की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय गंगा देवी की जय यमुना मई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी रानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय इस्कॉन बीबीथी संस्थापक आचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय गौ प्रेमानंदे all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Jai Shri Prabhupada Om Jnanaptimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Madgavirapi Gopala Swikuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadaiva Sampayah Pitva Hrishyayustat Priyajanaham. In the end of his 10th canto commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, famous Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, prays, my dear Lord Gopal, only if you accept my words as your cows, then they can give enough sweet milk to give pleasure to your pure devotees. Many, many ages ago, there was a sage, Aurani Uddalaka, and his son was named Nachiketas. One day, this boy saw that his father was engaging in a very special sacrifice to give up all of his material possessions, and he noticed what seemed odd to him. Sometimes we see things that don't seem right. Have you noticed? Especially in 2025. So he asked his father, when he saw his father giving away an old dry cow in charity. Old cow, dry cow, no milk, just headache. So he asked his father, to whom will you give me? And his father just ignored him, as we do. And after some time he asked him again, Father, I see you're giving this old cow in charity, so who are you going to give me to? His father again ignored him. I don't know what inspired Nachiketas, but for a third time he asked the same question. And his father was irritated and just said, I'm going to give you to death. He got angry. Watch out. When you get angry, it's so destructive. It's tamoguna. It can ruin your whole life and can certainly ruin other people's lives as well. Words spoken in anger can't be recalled. Just like an arrow, once you let it fly from the bow. Gir Bana, we have a fancy name in Sanskrit. Gir Bana. Bana means bow and arrow, and Gi means speech. It's like that. So be careful. Anyway, because in those days the Brahmanas had some real tejas. So when he was, you can say, cursed in this way, he had to go and visit Yamaraj. So he thought, if I'm on the way there, he thought, well, if I'm going to have to go to the abode of death, then at least I should get something really valuable out of it. And so he had his list prepared when he got to Yamaraj's abode. But Yamaraj wasn't home when he came. We know from Taittiriya Upanishad also that Atiti Devo Bhava, an uninvited guest who just shows up at your doorstep, he has to be treated like whom? God. Just like we have also Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. All these personalities are respected. That's in the Shruti mantra. And something should not be neglected. So Yamaraj, when he finally came, he saw that this boy is sitting there, Brahmin boy, and he felt very bad. So his wife explained that he came 3 days ago to see you, and I've been feeding him. But Yamaraj said, okay, before anything else, let me give you something. You ask any 3 boons you want. What would you ask if you went to Yamaraj? He's a very powerful person. Everybody bows to Yamaraj, right? Everybody dies. Yamaraj is the Lord of Death, Yama. So anyway, he thought, well, first thing is that let me go back to my home, and my father will forget all about his anger, and everything will be just like before, and there's no problem. So Yamaraj said, Tathastu. This is what we always hear. So be it. And then he said, what's your second boon? He said, for my second wish, I would like to learn the sacrifice that you're performing right now. If this was Indra, it might be different, because Indra, he gets worried about his position when people get too close to his position. Just like in this world, naturally. Somebody gets a little too close to where we stand and we get nervous. So, but Yamaraj was, he's seen enough people come and go that he knows that everything is temporary. He's actually a Bhakti Mahajana. He's an expert in devotional service. He's self-realized. He's somebody you can depend on. The word for this in Sanskrit is apta, somebody who's reliable, dependable authority. So Yamaraj said, he said, this is a very difficult sacrifice, but I will teach it to you. Kind of like when, anyway. So then he learned it. Then Yamaraj asked him, what is your third boon? Anybody know what he asked for? Some people say, after death, we continue. Some people say we don't continue as persons, we kind of merge into some impersonal thing. If you ask the Buddhists, they'll tell you it's, you're snuffed out. Nirvana means that, exactly. And, different theories. Vaishnavas, of course, what do we say? We say that after death you can go on if you have cultivated Krishna consciousness, and you can engage in your eternal constitutional position of love with the Supreme Person. And there's no more interruption. You ever stop to think about all the things that you've done in life, and all that you dream of in life, and all that you've attained so far in life, and what it's all for? Why do you have to keep dying again and again and again? Every time you amass something that's worth getting attached to, like we always do. People don't think like this. And so Yamaraj said, this is a very difficult question. I mean, people are coming and going from my abode since time immemorial, and most of them don't question this, but you're a very smart boy. But still, this is a difficult topic. I think maybe, I can give you every asset you wish. I can give you cars, I can give you education, prestige, money, women, nice foodstuffs, everything. In other words, all the things that we chase after in life. What does Hitopadesh tell us about what distinguishes us from the animals? Ahara nidra bhaya maithanam cha, that is eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We have this in common with the animals. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, said, we have this so much in common with the animals that they're running around doing this on their 4 legs. That's all they can think about. And we're driving around doing this on our four wheels, but it's all we can think about. To dharmasya hina pashubhi samana. What is the difference between a human being and an animal if his head is full of animal stuff? The reason we have animal desires to begin with is because of samskara. What does samskara mean? Just like when you print a book, kam se kam Hindi mein, when you print a book, Pratama samskarana, dvitiya samskarana, tritiya samskarana, if it's a popular book. So it means an impression is made. When you perform an action, particularly when you perform a sinful activity or also a very pious activity, either way, it leaves an impression on it stains your psychology. And that's what carries you into the next life. Everything, it's like a program knows what to do, just like AI. And so this is what consumes us life after life after life. But no matter where you go, no matter what you get, you can't ever keep it. This too shall pass, as they say. So Yamaraj was discouraging Nachiketas. He said, don't ask this question. I'll give you anything else you want, but don't ask about this. And Nachiketas was so uncommon and so intelligent and so detached and so determined. He said, I only want what I've asked for. You have offered me a boon already. This is the boon that I want. Would you do that? Have we done that? So then Yamaraj looked at him and nodded his head and thought, this one really has pratibha. He's a smart one. And so he started to explain the content of the Katha Upanishad. Not Katha Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. What does Katha mean? Katha. We all know what Katin means. Katin ka matlab kya hai? Katin. Difficulty. So Katha means the same thing. The difficult thing. That's what Nachiketas was going for. And for that's the reason Yamaraj didn't really want to talk about it. But since he was cornered, Yamaraj was obligated. He had to start talking. And so what did he say first? Look, in human life there are two kinds of concerns that we may have. One of them is called prayas. The other one is called shreyas. Or we say preya or shreya. So prayas means what? Anybody know? Immediate, short-term benefit, as we say. The appealing thing, right? Just like I would love to eat things like, ice cream and polyunsaturated fats and, in general, all the good stuff is bad for you, isn't it? It's true, really. And when you go to an Ayurvedic physician, no matter what you present to him, he says, no. Just like a bona fide spiritual master, just like a good parent, just like God. So, Nachiketas was determined, and Yamaraj is explaining to him, this is prayas, short-term benefit, it's very pleasing. Prayas means also pleasing, priya, it's priya. And therefore it's what we normally do most of the time. With short-term benefits, we're not thinking of the long-term consequences even. So this is one path that we can choose in life. Shreyas, on the other hand, what does that mean? Shreya. Ultimate good. Super excellent preeminence, something like that. The highest thing. Long-term benefit. Noble things. Very high things. Difficult to obtain things. It's a lot easier just to go to wherever you go and buy cubic zirconia. But not so many people are prepared to pay the price for genuine diamonds, right? Generally, it's less of a market. So this is shreyas. And of course, that's on a mundane scale. But ultimately, real shreyas means you have to think about what's going to happen to you in 100 or 200, 300 years from now. Do you think you're not going to be around? That was part of the question after all, right? Has there ever been a time when you're not been conscious of being yourself? No. We have no evidence of any sort that really suggests very strongly that we will not always be the way that we always have been. And even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, who knows the verse? 2.13, famous verse. Dehi asmin dehe dehinaha. What does he do in this body? The person who is embodied. He goes from Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara, and then another death. Kaumara means childhood, youth, old age, and then finally, tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. A person who cultivates this kind of wisdom that Yamaraj is teaching in the Katha Upanishad, that person will not be bewildered at the time of death. Otherwise, what happens at the time of death? Everybody freaks out. Everybody. My mother had a policy. Her whole life, she had this, everybody in the family knew, if I ever get into a position where I have to be kept alive by tubes and things artificially by the doctors, then just, I don't want that kind of life. Just let them, flip the switch and I'll go. Then it happened. And finally she came to after being in a coma, and, we had to tell her that, we just were reminding her that she had this policy, and, it's time to flip that switch. One of my godbrothers put it very, very graphically. He said, we can talk about all the different ways that there are to die, theoretically. Like, say, for example, a person can be electrocuted. So it's one thing to sit here comfortably and, nice AC, and we're going to eat something, so even if you're hungry, you don't have to worry too much. But talking about being electrocuted and holding a metal object into a socket, those are two different experiences. So she said, no, I don't want this. You somehow or other keep me alive. This is after 80 years of being convinced in the opposite direction. So death is a serious thing, and it's coming. Mrityu sarvaharashchaham. Krishna says, in the form of time, I take away everything. And who is that form of time? That is Yamaraj. That is the person that Nachiketa is meeting right now and having this discussion with. So Nachiketa sees in him, a promising student, and so he's actually teaching what he can teach. So many, many things he covered in this Katha Upanishad. We don't really have too much time to dilate on that. But Katha Upanishad is part of the Krishna Yajurveda. Which other Upanishad is part of Krishna Yajurveda? Ishopanishad. Srila Prabhupada translated that. Ishopanishad is also in the Krishna Yajurveda. So he's saying so many things like this. Then at the end of the, second chapter, you can say, second part of the Katha Upanishad, he says, Yasya Brahma cha kshatram cha ubhe bhavatan odanaha mrityur yasyopasechanam ka ittha veda yatra saha. What does it mean? We're talking about who is the supreme, because once you get on the other side and find out that you're still a person, you have to deal with all that. You can't, there's no more choices after the big door slams shut, right? I mean, for my mother, actually, it's a happy ending. She came out of it and lived another 6 years, and ultimately, because I was there, I think, I was the only one who was going to take care of her spiritually in that circumstance. She had a very glorious death, better than I could have imagined, at least. But we should be so fortunate, because once you lose this human form of life, you can't make any more choices. You can't rewrite what you've written, the history that you've written. And it's going to have its reaction, and it may be good or it may be bad, depending. So these are things we have to think about soberly while we can. When I was in Seattle, the devotees printed up these little cards that we distribute. with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. What is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then the caption underneath it says, please chant this Maha Mantra while you can. Just to stir a little thought, just to make you think a little bit. Wait a minute, why'd they say that? So, or as one Madhya Yogin Hindi kavi ne kaha ki, jaba lagatana main tapana vyapai, taba laga kari hari seva. While you have a chance. Well, if you have a good, sound, working mind and body, then you have to use it for what you really can. Get out of it. This is exactly what Nachiketas did. That's why he set that example. And Yamaraj appreciated. If we use our lifetime wisely, Yamaraj will also appreciate our intelligence. And maybe he'll speak such wonderful words of wisdom to us as well, if need be. All right, so yasya brahma chakshatram cha ubhe bhavata odana mrityu yasyopachechanam. What does it mean? Ka ittha veda yatra saha. We have to give this life, we have to absorb our consciousness while we are human beings. That's dharma, sanatan dharma, paro dharma. Better than that. To be a civilized human being is to be dharmic. But to be a Krishna-conscious human being, that is paro dharma. Highest dharma. Highest thing. So, the highest thing is to be conscious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Krishna. And he's saying that this person, if Brahma and Shiva are just like his rice, boiled rice, and death itself, he said Brahma and Vayu. They respectively represent the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. They're like his boiled rice. And Rudra, Lord Shiva, who represents Yama, the Lord of Death, he's just like the ghee that you put on your rice before you eat. Unless you're from Chennai, then you eat Tayar Sadam instead. But this is, how can one know him when both Lord Brahma and Vayu are but his boiled rice and Rudra is but his ghee sprinkled on this? This is a rhetorical question, of course. Because Yamaraj has already presented so many other things to Nachiketas, and he concluded the last chapter by saying three things. One whose senses are not controlled, and one who is also not peaceful, and someone whose mind is not focused. You're not peaceful, your senses are not controlled, and your mind is not focused. Anyone here familiar with that? He said, this person can hardly benefit from Shastric knowledge. Even you hear the thing, because your mind is wacko, and your senses are also crazy, and you just have no time also. This is another thing what we hear from Bhagavatam. Hi upadrutaha. Always just no time, sir, sorry. This person cannot really benefit from Shastra knowledge. So then, if even Brahma and Vayu and Shiva are but his rice and ghee, then who are we? The implication is that Lord Vishnu eats these demigods, right? It's not so far off the mark, actually, if you think about it, because we've heard this from Shankaracharya. First of all, I'd like to share what Shankaracharya thinks about this Shruti mantra. He says, regarding those who don't have these three qualifications we've just mentioned, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, although they are the stay of all virtue in this world, and although they're the protectors of everyone, they're but his foodstuff. And although Rudra or death is his ghee, how can a worldly-minded person lacking their qualifications know anything about him? Nobody. Can't understand it. We're too crazed by sense gratification on the animal platform. We already described ahara nidra bhayamaitanam cha. So, these are some things we need to think about very carefully. That Shankaracharya also said very nicely. Anybody know this verse? Kaivalyam navanitaharam anaharam bhuvanaharam. What does it mean? He's that one person who he doesn't have to eat anything. God doesn't need to eat anything. Is it correct? Yes, he doesn't require anything. But what does he eat? Navanitaharam. He eats butter. Krishna. Whose butter does he eat? The gopis' butter. Because they love him. He's not actually eating the butter per se. I mean, he does eat it, but he's not really interested in their butter. He has everything already. He created the butter. It's his butter already. When sometimes they catch him stealing butter in their houses, and they say, "You're a thief." And he said, No, this is my butter. You're all thieves. He's telling them the truth. So, kaivalyam navinitaharam anaharam bhuvanaharam. And another thing he eats is the entire cosmic manifestation. So he doesn't eat, he eats butter, and he eats everything. This is God, according to Shankaracharya. So this is why we worship Krishna. And if we use our time wisely and try to cultivate Krishna consciousness in this short window of opportunity that we have called human life, don't think that all the assets you have with you right now are automatically going to transfer with you into the next life. It doesn't work like that. Because death is like a factory reset. What happens when you have a factory reset of your hard drive or your phone, right? All the data is lost. The only one thing is remaining. What is that? The samskaras. The samskaras are what carry you via the subtle body. That is to sukshma shirira. Anybody know what it means? Subtle body, what is it comprised of? It depends on who you ask. Mind, intelligence, false ego, those are the general three that we hear about more. Yeah. Antahakarana, it's also called. The inner senses. It's funny, it's like people who lose a limb, like athletes and somebody who gets, they have to lose a limb sometimes. But, even years after sacrificing their limb, they still feel like, in their brain is still wired that they think it's still there. It's called muscle memory. So this is samskara. This is what carries us on, not your present karma. Your prarabdha karma will not go with you. Dhanani bhumao pashavascha goshte. Anybody know this one? Nari grihadvare janaha smashane. Your car will stay in the garage, your money will stay in the bank, your wife will stay at home if she knows religious principles, because women are not supposed to go to their husband's funeral, according to Dharma Shastra. Your friends and relatives will come to your funeral. Dehashchitayam paraloka marage. Your body will go further than anybody else. Where is your body going? To the fire. It is returned to Agni. That's why we were speaking of Ishopanishad. There are mantras there for that purpose also. Karmanugo gacchati jiva ekaha. But you have walked upon the path in karma of this life, in this life, you're going on alone. Nobody's going with you. Nothing's going with you. Everything you will lose, except your bill. Your karmic debits and the samskars that would hopefully enable you to fulfill those debts. So this is the reality. This is not mythology. This is not Hindu something, not stories everybody, we experience this all the time. People die. And it's common, it can happen unexpectedly, just like, the person is going to make a trip to, say, Sadhu Sangha, and suddenly 800 people canceled. Why? Maybe they're afraid of meeting ICE agents in the airport. But, It's as unpredictable as anything. Death can happen just like that. Nobody plans that today I'm going to die. Well, I mean, some people, if they're really depressed, they can do that. But generally it catches us. It's always too soon, we were discussing. Especially accidental death, very traumatic. So we have to prepare for that now. And that's what it means to be dhira. Dhiras tatra na muhyati. Krishna says, somebody who has prepared like this, he's able to transcend this samsara chakra, this cycle of repeated birth and death. In this Kathopanishad, Yamaraj has described the spiritual path. As we said, he's talking about Shreyas and Preyas. He's talking about the super excellence of the Supreme Soul Vishnu, for whom even Brahma, Vayu, Shiva, they're just like his, he eats them. And we're talking about how Lord Krishna is the fountainhead of all extensions of Godhead. And he's detailed the qualifications of those who can know him. We have to control our senses. Just like the doctor told me, if your LDL goes above 100, I'm going to have to put you on statins. And we know that once you start taking statins, you have to continue that, right? Otherwise it can be also a further problem. So these words are meant to illustrate the awesome and inscrutable glory of Lord Vishnu, to whom we should all surrender our lives. And Vishnu in his superlative form is Lord Krishna. That information, we get this from all the Shastras, beginning right from Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata, right? And how many Hindus do not accept Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata? They may not realize, but Bhagavad Gita means Mahabharata. So much respected is Bhagavad Gita that it's called Gita-upanishad. Prasthana Trayi, anybody know what that means? Prasthana Trayi. We have Vedic literatures. There are 4 Veda Samhitas, Rik, Sama, Yajur, Atharva Vedas. Those are the fountainhead of all Hindu scriptures. And those Vedas have attached to the end of each one of them a number of Upanishads. And we've mentioned already the Yajur Veda, Black Yajur Veda has this Ishopanishad attached to it, the Kathopanishad attached to it, and so forth. And then of those Upanishads, Vyasadeva has codified their philosophical content in a book that is called Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. That's the authority for the Vedanta school of Hinduism. And on this Vedanta Sutra, Vyasadeva has also written his own commentary, and that commentary is called Srimad Bhagavatam, or it's also called Bhagavat Purana, Puranam Amalam. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachir Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhurmatamidam Tatradaro Nahparaha. This is the synopsis of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Is it time for prasadam or something? Because we're getting restless, I'm seeing. I mean, you have to... Arati before prasadam. Arati. All right, anyway. So... Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the Supreme. And by worshiping Krishna, we can reestablish our eternal but now dormant relationship with Him. That's really the perfection of our existence. I'm just going to share with you a couple of verses because I've already quoted one of them from Shankaracharya's Govindashtakam. Many of you know this already. Mritsa matsi heta yashoda tarana shaishava santrasam vyadita vaktralokita lokaloka chaturdasha lokalam lokatrayapura stambham lokalokamanalokam lokesham paramesham pranamata govindam paramanandam. What does it mean? He says, we bow to that supreme bliss, Govinda, the Supreme Lord and Lord of the worlds, who is not some otherworldly thing, but who is worldly and also beyond the world. He's both. Who is the root of these three worlds, whose gaping mouth fills the 14 worlds, which neither worldly nor non-worldly can behold, and who is frightened in childish fear at Yashoda's reprimands by claiming, "No, I haven't eaten the earth." We know this pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam. One time all of Krishna's little boyfriends, they all got together, even Balaram was involved, and they all said, "Ma, Krishna has eaten dirt." And she says, "Krishna, is it true you've eaten dirt?" And Krishna says, "No." We all know how that goes, right? These things, iti driksvalilabhirananda kunde sughosham nimajjantam. The Lord wants to drown all of us in this ananda kund, this pool of ecstasy of his pastimes, by exhibiting these things. So many pastimes he does like this. And traivishtaparupu viragnam kshitibhadam gnam bhavarogagnam kaivalyam navanitaharam anaharam bhuvanaharam. We've already said. Kaivalyaspita cheto vritti vishesha bhasam anabhasam shaivam kevala shantam pranamata govindam paramanandam. Means bow to that supreme bliss, Govinda, who is the destroyer of the demigod's enemies, destroyer of the earth's burdens, destroyer of the disease of material existence, the one who eats fresh butter, who eats nothing, and who eats the worlds. His specific appearance is manifest only to those pure in mind and deeds, whose factual form is auspicious and who is purely peaceful. Do you see some consistency here? Yamaraj has just explained to Nachiketas that if you're not pure in your mind and in your deeds, you can't understand the conclusion of Shastra. And here Shankaracharya is also telling us that if you're not pure in your mind and in your deeds, you cannot understand Krishna. What does that mean? If A equals B and B equals C, then that means A equals C, which means that Krishna must be the absolute truth. And so we wholeheartedly invite all of those of you who are very fortunate to come here tonight and hear these things, please chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, while you can. Okay, so I don't know how much time I have or when I should. It's time. Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments or want to discuss anything? Yeah.
I was just curious. Thank you for the amazing class. I was just curious, I know you don't have a lot of time, but if you could talk about how to be pure in mind and deeds.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've said it twice so far. You chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Now, one time a disciple of Srila Prabhupada came to Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, I'm having a problem with lust." Anybody here? You don't have to raise your hand. But Srila Prabhupada said, "That's no problem, you just chant Hare Krishna." Naturally, as most of us would, this disciple said, "But Prabhupada, I do chant Hare Krishna, and still I'm having this problem." You know what Prabhupada did? He shouted back at him. He said, "No! When you're having this problem, you don't chant. That is the problem." You can't argue with this. Is it not a fact? When you're completely overwhelmed by Maya, and Krishna comes in the form of Paramatma and taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, excuse me, that's not really kosher," you just push him aside, isn't it? We all do this to one degree or another. This is the problem. So how do we become more serious? You really chant the holy name. Take the Gauranga, what is that? Narottam Das Thakur sings in Bengali language, "Je Gauranga Madhurlila, Jare Karne Probeshilo, Antar Hridoy Nirmol Pelotar," right? The chanting of the Lord's glories should enter into the ear. That's where it enters. But where does it go? From there it goes into the heart. It does not go out the other ear. And when we chant like that, then our heart becomes purified. Pungsam kalikritan doshan dravya deshatma sambhavan sarvan harati chittastho bhagavan purushottamaha. This is in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, or maybe it's 12th canto, I don't remember, but there are so many flaws that we're overwhelmed by in Kali Yuga. They may be stuff that we've brought with us from our past life. That's the samskar we mentioned already. It may be something that is a result of our environment. It may be something that's the result of, we don't have adequate facilities. Whatever. But all these flaws, Bhagavan Purushottama, from within the heart, he purifies us of all of them when we really sincerely chant. Take the name deep within our hearts. Like we were discussing with Srila Prabhupada's books, you can't just skim through Srila Prabhupada's books and expect to understand them, especially if your mind is crazy and your senses are uncontrolled and you've got no focus. How can it work? That's why Shankaracharya said that. That's why Yamaraj said that. You have to take it deeply. That means focus. In Sanskrit, how do we say the word focus? What is focus in Sanskrit? Yeah, Ghani Bhuta Dhyan, you might say. Highly concentrated focus. California, where I come from, there are wildfires every year. They burn down half the state. And, half of them are not wildfires. Also, somebody sets them. The sun's rays are dissipated throughout the sky. Dashashatakara kalamashat dhvangsakari. The sun is described as having 10,000 hands. Those are his kirana, rays. And those rays are dissipated throughout the sky. But if you take a magnifying glass, it pulls those rays together in one place. And you hold it properly, and it will pinpoint on one spot. That's a heavy, intense energy, tejas, ashesha teja. And you can start a fire that burns down half the state of California, and I'm not making a suggestion. You do this in your heart instead. You take everything you hear about Krishna, but you focus it and put it in your heart and keep it there. And all the sins will be burned up, all the anarthas will be burned up, all the illusion, all the bad habits, all the misconceptions, all the doubts, adi, 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 adi. But you have to do it, and nobody can help you with that. You have to do it yourself. That's just like when you die, right? You go on alone. We can give you training, flight school. That's what we're in right now. But when you fly from this body, you're on your own. Whatever you've done in life, whatever you've assimilated out of this, that's what you're taking with you. So take it deeply, focus, and it can do wonders if you also control your senses, because that's part of focus after all. And if you have a peaceful mind, which is natural, if you do these two things, you will become a peaceful person. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So this is our process of Krishna consciousness. Every day we hear about Krishna, and every day we chant Krishna's name, and hote hote sab kuch theek ho jaye. We become purified. Okay? Anything else before it's time for Arati? Because I can't see any clocks here. Somebody has to. Okay, time for announcements. All right, so I will take your leave now. And thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One more time, please, let us acknowledge His grace. Mukunda Datta Prabhu. He wouldn't let me read some of his credentials, if you will, but as you can see from the class that we just heard from him, Prabhu is very much involved, and we are very appreciative of his visit. And I think every year we keep telling him maybe next visit will be a longer one. And when Prabhu travels to U.S., most of the temples would want him to go and speak. So, but we're very grateful Prabhu took time to come visit here in Houston. We have one sponsor for our Sunday Feast program, Bhagavan Prabhu and Ami. They are celebrating their daughter Manjari's first birthday. Manjari here? Happy birthday to Manjari. We dedicate our 7 o'clock Kirtan today in memory of Murali Manohar Prabhu's sister-in-law, Sushila Ravichandran, who passed away today in India. Anyone here for the first time? Please raise your hand if you're here for the first time. We welcome you. When you exit, stop by the front desk and please accept a token of appreciation from our temple, and we hope to see you here soon again. This coming Thursday is Ekadashi, or at least that's the day we are fasting for this Ekadashi on Thursday, April 24th. Next Sunday is our Sunday School Teacher Appreciation Day, so immediately following our class next Sunday, there will be a teacher appreciation for all the Sunday School teacher. And Sunday School is also planning a fun fair on May the 4th. Details will be shared with you next week. And I was just given some information, so bear with me. Last week's book distribution numbers: 122 Maha books, 85 big books, 141 medium books, 286 small books, giving you a total of 634 books that were distributed. And in addition, one Srimad Bhagavatam set was also distributed. How many of you are familiar with Padaduli Mataji's baking? All the cookies and cakes that she makes, right? Many times you come to the festival and you enjoy these wonderful cakes and cookies. Padaduli Mataji is going to teach you how to be a cook or a baker. She probably won't come close to what she does, but at least she can show you what the tricks are. How many of you have actually seen the cookies that she makes? Different colors, different shapes, different tastes. Wonderful. Anyway, so next Saturday, April 26th, coming up, she is doing a baking class from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it's 3 hours for you to become Betty Crocker. There is a donation of only $51. I believe all the items that you will bake, you can probably take home with you, but the $51 donation goes all to the temple. So how many of you wanting to learn how to bake? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Youngsters, moms, anyone, guys. So anyone can become a baker. Padaduli Mataji will be sitting near Lord Jagannath Library room there in the corner today. So be sure to stop by, register yourself so that she can plan how many people will be coming. So today she will be here throughout the evening for you to do your registration. Now the most important festival that's coming up in just a few weeks. Nrsingadev's appearance day, Nrsinga Chaturdashi, is on Sunday, May 11th. It's an actual day of Nrsinga Chaturdashi. The program starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with a special Mahayagna, Sarva Vigna Mahayagna. Prabhuji talked about being difficult or katin, right? We don't have any vignas or we don't have any obstacles. Right? Now May 11th happens to be something special also. Does anyone know what is on May 11th? Of course, in addition to Nrsinga Chaturdashi. It's Mother's Day. So this is one way you can treat your mother by being a sponsor for this special yagna. It's only $501 to become a sponsor, and the sponsoring families can participate in this very special Mahayagna on Narsingha Chaturdashi. You can do your sponsorship online. Visit our website, iskonhouston.org/Narasimha, Nrsimha, Narasimha. So you can do your sponsorship registration. You can also get some additional details on our website for that page. With that, our 7 o'clock Arati Kirtan will be led by His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya